been 2 weeks since I've done an episode and I screwed it up. How's everybody doing? Episode 145 of Fight League Atlantic Exposure. This episode sponsored by our good friends Conway Customs, graphics, vehicle decals, tinting, signage, whatever you need inside or outside. These guys are a big supporter of combat sports in the East Coast, so thank you very much, Scott and his team. Episode 145, hard to believe. 5 more till 150. Super exciting. Just under a year or so, we started this podcast, and it's been a lot of fun. A lot more wrinkles in the last year or so, but we continue to push forward. So really excited about this guest to have on. He's a guy that I've kind of grown to know a little bit behind the scenes in the last year or so. Super supportive of combat sports. He's kind of had an interesting go here with a fight canceled. I want to talk to him a little bit about that and kind of how he got forward. He's big into personal training. He's now just opening his own gym called AussieFit. He's kind of been running it a little bit in a different location, but now he's kind of got branched out onto his own. And anyway, let's chat to him about that and kind of why you got into combat sports and all that kind of fun stuff. So without further ado, Mr. Alex Thompson out of 374 MMA. How are you, sir?
Morning. Good. How are you?
Oh, not too bad, man. Thanks again for jumping on, buddy.
No, not a problem. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. It's again, like I said, behind the scenes, we've kind of been chatting a little bit. You've been a big supporter of us, and we're going to support you right back. And I love seeing kind of people like yourself kind of branch out and just go get it and do things, and especially in this kind of time, man. Like we can all get caught up in the negative. And anyway, let's get started. First of all, in combat sports, I ask everybody that does this podcast, how'd you get into this game and why?
So originally it was actually through personal training. So I had gone and taken fitness kickboxing courses because I was like, oh, this looks cool. Like I could do this with my clients. It's something that's more like one-on-one, more personable, like rather than just, okay, like pick the weight up, put it down. Like, all right, great. You did a good job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was running like a team training session with that at the time. And then I had somebody who had done Muay Thai come in and basically just roast everything that I was doing. Like, this is wrong, this isn't realistic, this sucks, like whatever. And I was like, well, okay, cool. I can be all butthurt about it, or I can branch out, try to learn a little bit more, do what I can, So I started Googling around, started looking for courses, tried to get in touch with a couple of people, but ended up doing the instructor course at 374 MMA. So that's how I got started into it, started doing that 6 months course. 6 months into it, Brad was kind of just like, hey, do you want to keep training? Do you want to train to fight? Like, do you want to see where we can go? So that's kind of how it's been working on it since then. So yeah.
Good, man. That's awesome. How old are you, Alex, if you don't mind me asking?
22. I'll be 23 in September. Man,
good for you, dude.
Yeah, that's man. Impressive. Trying to get it all accomplished early, you know what I mean? So
well, it's I'm 40 now, and I didn't always take a lot of great advice from my dad, and but he was always kind of harping on us, like, invest young, save early, you know, get these things done early, and we did a lot of it. And I'll tell you, like, it's a huge thing for people who are young if you can get ahead of it, man. So kudos to you being smart enough to realize that.
Thank you.
Australia, I gotta ask you, like, so I don't know, what's the deal there?
So I was born in Australia, born and raised. I moved here when I was 14, almost 15. So I've been here for a while, but so my mom's from Canada, so she moved my family here when I was in high school, and we've kind of I've been here since, haven't moved back. So graduated school, went to university for a short little while, realized, I wasn't cut out for it. It didn't really feel like where I was supposed to be, you know what I mean? Moved back and then got a job back at Good Life, where I previously worked, but as a trainer instead of front desk. And from there, it's just been scaling up and seeing what I can do with it. So
very cool, man. Yeah, I kind of figured that might be the case, but I wasn't, because I knew you played rugby here, like in a little bit of high school and at a pretty high level. So I figured at some point, obviously, you moved here. So that's interesting. Where did you go to school at here?
I went to Prince Andrew in Dartmouth, Prince Andrew High School. Yeah, so graduated 2016. Played all 3 grades of rugby there, which was pretty sweet. It was nice to kind of have like the one thing that I've got an edge on, like Canadians with. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like, oh, cool. I'm good at.
Yeah.
I'm better than you guys at this, so we're gonna stick with that, right?
That's
So, but yeah.
awesome. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That did you play a lot of it in Australia at all?
I did. I did. I
Obviously.
played since I was about 8 years old, right up until I moved, and then had like a year or two here where I couldn't play just because of age or whatever, and it wasn't available. Rugby back home is very similar to hockey here in that you start when you can walk. Do you know what I
Mm,
mean? Like, and then it's huge following, lots of clubs, lots of players. So yeah.
yeah. Did it translate for you like into martial arts? Obviously, like it's
It seems to, I've got my wrestling coach telling me consistently that like, my double leg takedown is like crazy, you know what I mean? And like
good.
a lot of just like the functional skills with that have kind of translated a little bit. Getting the technique with it, combining that with everything else that's new has been challenging at times, but
Mhm.
you make what you can.
Yeah, that's it, man. Well, but learning and growing, that's one big thing about you. And a lot of like, man, people reach out all the time to us and they're like, there's all these new athletes that you guys always work with. And
Yeah.
it's like, but that's what we want. We like,
Yeah.
there's tons of
The
people around that
industry's changing, man.
big time,
Yeah,
big
the
time.
industry's changing. You've gone from, guys are like, okay, cool, I'll have one fight a year, or I'll do this one thing a year, train the rest, and then recover, and up and down with weight. If you look at how the UFC specifically has had to change what they're doing and how they're doing it because of COVID-19.
Mhm.
You've got guys like Khamzat Chimaev who what 3 fights in what was that 2 months,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that, like 12 weeks, something crazy, right? Like that's unheard of.
Mhm.
You got training time, you got recovery time. So the whole industry, even in fitness, and what I'm trying to bring to MMA as a whole and my clients is like, okay, so rather than like let's kill you and then fix you, let's get you working at a rate where you can kind of just stay in the middle the whole time.
All the
Do you know what I
time.
mean?
Yeah.
So
Big time.
exactly.
That's
So
what a big thing for me is, it's like, and I've been working on this forever, and I find now like it's finding the amount of times that I can train. Like I can usually do like
yeah,
3 to 4 times a week at the very most for me, and then my body gets like swollen, and because like
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
I've always kind of struggled with that kind of thing. But again, like I
yeah,
started
man.
doing martial arts late, like around like 27 or something like that, right? So if I kind of had got into it earlier in my eating habits, not saying my eating habits are bad, but I still just don't eat the best I should. So Sean
I
Finnegan,
gotcha.
the tough boxer, unnecessary damage to fight. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
Slip him and rip him, Mr. Finnegan. Talking about fight cancellations. Your last fight, like a lot of people I talk to, that's a big thing for us as promoters too. It's a thing that nobody wants to lose a fight. Fighters, promoters, fans, people who bought tickets, the list goes on and on. But how was that
Yeah, man.
experience for you?
So we had. I'll take you back to, let's say, October, November of 2019. We had been Rad had been in touch with Nova Kickboxing. I had gone to chat with them to like look at opponent arrangements and kind of come up with something for the card that they had that November. Went, did the medical, got all the stuff done, got licensed. It worked out. They couldn't get me an opponent at the time that would have fit, well with what we were doing, which was fine, whatever. Then we had, so Elite One reached out to us. They're like, hey, we've got this guy, Tyler Gilka. And yeah, I'm going to call you out, man. Like, I'm still mad about that. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still real mad about that. Anyway, I don't understand how you find out about your fight. You agree to your contract 3 months before the event, and then you don't show up because you couldn't make weight. You know what I mean? Like, that's hella disrespectful. Like, after the money, the time, the commitment, the beatings that you put into a fight camp, right? So we found out in November that, okay, cool, this is what you're fighting at. Here's your contract, whatever. January, I think it was 14th, 15th, somewhere there. The weigh-ins were in Moncton. I drove all the way to Moncton. The whole 2 hours it is, not a huge deal, but still,
But
right?
still,
Like,
so,
working. It's client time that I wasn't working, right? So I had to go, and I'm like there, and I'm super amped, super stoked. I'm like, yeah, my first fight, like the weigh-ins, I'm pumped, I'm seeing everybody. Like, it was a really cool experience that I've never been through before, right? And I get up, I weigh, and then like everyone else weighed, and we're just kind of waiting. Like, all right, where's my opponent? What's up? Talk to Mike Williams, the guy running it, and he was like, yeah, no one's heard from him. We don't know what's up. So I was really pissed off because they tried to get in contact with him, and it was just I didn't get a message from anybody about him except from him a week or so later, going like, "Oh, hey, like it's not cool you said that stuff." I'm like, well, dude, it's not cool you didn't show up. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
yeah,
it's like, I've been struggling to get under this. I'm like, well, eat a salad. Like, it's not that hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, eat a salad, get in the sauna. Like, man, I dropped from 220 to like 192, and then water cut the rest of the way down, and I was good to go. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was dieting hard, I was training hard, and I don't understand it. Like, why are you going to commit to a fight? And I guess it's a lot more common, having talked to some other guys that have fought, that their opponent just no shows. It's like, yeah, it's happened to me like 2 or 3 times too. I'm like, this is ridiculous, man. Like, where's the penalty there? Like, what's going on? Like, how much of my time am I going to waste on a false promise of a fight?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a lot of time wasted, truthfully, man. It's like just not on the fight and the promoters and everybody's and like, it's funny that you say that you talk to other people.
Staff, everybody.
I notice it when I'm putting fights together. When we're putting fights together, I can kind of tell when people kind of get a little distant, like they don't respond, or they say they're going to do something and they don't for like a week. So you kind of get that feeling what's kind of happened. And so for us, it's like we stay on top of it, but that kind of thing, it's almost impossible to stay. How do you stay up on it if they just don't show up, right? So
yeah,
that's disappointing to hear, man. And like for us, like if anyone ever did that to our, like, you're never fighting for us, period. Like that's just
exactly. It's fair, right?
Like, just
no, that's it. To my knowledge, he got like a 12-month combat sport ban, but I'm like, oh, well, that taught him a whole lot, because there hasn't been events since that one anyway, since your guys' is last February, right? Like big punishment.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
man.
Like,
year and a half now.
So yeah, exactly. So anyway, the plan was after that one to go into fight another guy with Elite One in April. So we started training, we started prepping, and then everything started to go south with the lockdowns in March last year with COVID and everything. I got laid off of work. At the time, I was still at Good Life. Everything shut down. But at the time, I'm looking at the news in New Brunswick, and they're like, okay, cool. Like, no, so far we're still good to go for this event. Like, we may make changes later on as we need to or whatever. So I'm like, all right, well, I have to get creative, and now I've got to train for a fight with no gyms. Like, so I was in at the time my being renovated basement. I'd hung a heavy bag up. I had some weights. Like, I was just trying to do what I could to make sure I was going to hit weight and be in shape. You know what I mean? And then that one got canceled too, and I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, that's
and
one
ever
big
since,
thing,
like,
man. It's frustrating for people.
Yeah.
Like that's a big thing. Like, and for us, we're big proponents, man, of everybody getting along. Like, and everybody supporting one another. Like, I have a pretty damn good relationship with a lot of promoters, and the people who don't like me, for the most part, don't like me for certain reasons, and they're stupid. Sometimes they're valid. I'm not, we're not perfect. We make bad decisions too. We're learning. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be about the athletes first. And I think that's like the more opportunities. So if that kind of shit happens, if we're not putting an event, like if our event and you don't get a fight, maybe within 5 weeks later, there's another promotion putting on another fight that you can jump on. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Hopefully we can get to that point again, man. Like, that's the plan. We're going to keep moving forward with our events and scheduling as many as we can, but we're more than happy to support anybody like Ryan and Nova Kickboxing or ECC. No, I don't know what they're called. ECC Combat Sports.
I think so. Yeah.
So, but then
like, honestly, man, at this point, it's like, I've been training hard. I've been through, 3 or 4 different fight camps. Like, I'm waiting on the payoff. You know what I mean? Like, I've been like just there every time, and then nope, we're scrapped. Like, I know the commission was, screwing with you guys a little bit from what it sounds like. With the contracts and stuff. Like, cool, oh great. Like, I was chatting with you. Like, here's your contract. Here's this, that. Cool. Yep. Like, my gym was going to sponsor you guys. Like, I was super stoked to like get all this like ready to go. And then 3 days later, we're like, oh, actually, no. You know what I mean?
Incredible.
And I look at that and I'm like,
wasted. Yeah,
and that's time on you guys. That's money on you guys. It's time on your athletes and their coaches and their gyms. It's not great. You know what I mean? And at this point, it's like, I don't understand why, oh, cool, the Mooseheads can go and have games and people can go watch them now. And it's like, all of that reduced capacity, fine, whatever.
Mm.
But we can't have a combat sport event. It's like, well, hang on, this is looking a lot more political than it is about public safety now, right? So, like, what's the deal? Are you guys trying to mess with these guys? Like, I don't know, man. But if it were me in government, the last thing I'd want to do is mess with a group of people that know how to fight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well,
like, that just doesn't.
They look at it as if that, like, for them, like what they told us is at the end, it's like the safety of all Nova Scotians, and the officials, they like the commission didn't feel safe. So to me, it's I voiced it many times.
But did they even come back to you? Did they even come back to you with like, okay, we don't feel safe, but is this what you could do to make us feel safe? Like,
that's the thing.
You got to give us something to work with. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, oh yeah, no, we don't want to go to the effort. Come on, guys! Like, look at all the effort we've been going to, right?
We even offered, like, we run a pay-per-view company. I don't even need the judges in the damn venue. I can make a Zoom call with all of them sitting on the Zoom call at their house watching the damn fight, and they could literally write the score on the Zoom call. Like, I'm with you, man. There's ways to, if it's 2021, if we can go to fucking Mars, we can figure this out. So I couldn't agree more. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's like
it's what it is, man.
Yeah, it's like fighting. Like I say, it's like fighting the final boss in a video game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. So
I need a cheat code.
Yeah, that's it, right? It'd be helpful.
Left, right.
Yeah,
left,
man.
left.
It's getting frustrating. Like, at the end of the day, like, I'm still training, like I'm still, kind of prepping in it or whatever, just because that's a huge part of my fitness right now is getting in that. And a lot of the training I do with my clients is like MMA and Muay Thai based too. So it's like, doing a bit of that. But at the end of the day, like, even my clients, like, I've got people that have been training with me since I started doing this ages ago, and they're like, we want to see you fight. Like, we want to see, what you can do, like what this event's going to be like, and actually, support you as an athlete. So, it's everyone's getting antsy.
Political, man. And at the end of the day, it's you look at like at the end of the day, it's all money. That's how this world works, right? Yeah. Like hockey, if the fact that they're allowed back is based on the fact that the people who own the Mooseheads have way more money than we do, and the Mooseheads bring in more revenue than we do. Like the women's curling championships is in Alberta right now. There's an event going on in BC in March, 2 events going on in BC right now, and we spoke about this with combat sports lawyers and stuff. But for us right now, it's just like. There's more behind the scenes, I guess. Going on. Yeah, it's rough for sure, man. It is. Yeah. Let's talk about something positive here quickly. Dogs.
Sounds good. You see them,
Huskies there. Yeah.
I do. I got actually the first one. So the red one, Achilles. He was a lockdown puppy. Being a personal trainer, like, you don't get paid if you don't work, right? So for a long, long time, like, I worked at Good Life for 4-ish years as a trainer. Never once took vacation. I'm always working. Now, that being said, like, I enjoyed my work or whatever, right? But I wanted a dog on my own for a long time. In Australia, I grew up like, man, like, Huskies are so beautiful, kind of cruel to have them in Australia. It's too hot. Do you know what I mean? So now that I live here, I'm like, great. Like, and at the time I'm off work indefinitely. I'm like, okay, I have like, the next 12 weeks to train a puppy to be okay. Like, if I go back to work and what that looks like, that sort of stuff. Right. Anyway, and then, so moved into a new spot, living. And then I was like, okay, like, I can get a second one right now. Like, I've got the time. I'm running my own business now. I don't have to worry as much about working. Like, if I need to take time off, I can take time off. Mm-hmm. And then the best part about my new gym spot that I'm moving into this weekend is I'm going to have the dogs with me at work every day. So it's a dog friendly building and it's my space. So they're like, if you want to have them in there. Right. So, how many people can say they train at a gym that has a husky puppy? You know what I mean? So
zero probably at this moment. The best coworkers you can get.
All my clients, everyone's pretty stoked about that. So it should be good. And, like, a lot of people, when I was like, I'm going to get a husky, they're like, oh, well, they're super active. You could be okay. I'm like, I run all the time. Like, I take him with me. I take him with me on runs. That's all over my Instagram stories all the time. You know what I mean? It's like training, MMA, dogs. Like, that's it. Like, clients and work and dogs, right? So, but so it works out. I'm looking forward to when the other one's a little bit bigger and I can take the 2 of them out running at the same time. Like, that'll be good. So, But yeah, so that's where a lot of my extra time goes, man, is if I'm not here on the mats after work, then I'm with the dogs. So
Well, I love watching your stories, man. They're super cute dogs, and they really seem to get along.
oh, they do. Yeah, two different personalities, and one of them's a little bit older, right? But they're rowdy. They're playing with each other all the time. They love running around in the snow with each other. Like it's it's funny.
Best buddies, man. Best buddies. Well, that's a good
Yeah.
segue into something I want to talk to you too about is the club at 374. Rad and the crew there. Like, how's everybody there? Obviously, it's pretty busy there quite a bit, and you seem like you got a good group of people.
It's pretty busy. We had for a while there, we were doing like competition specific classes, kind of like invite only, like the guys who are like training to compete. Which was really good for team building and for even just like getting the skills in that we needed, and
Nice.
like that harder like workout, right? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's like a good culture. Like everyone's always trying to help each other out. It's the intensity is like consistently there, and if it's not, then you're gonna get yelled at. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a pretty good positive, like, hey, I'm gonna hit you with a stick if you don't, like, so
Right,
like, you know what I mean? Like it's you don't
that's
mess
good
around,
shit.
right? So yeah, no, it's good. I've really enjoyed being here, and I look forward to being able to continue coming here. It's pretty good.
Good. Yeah, he's been doing it for quite a long time too, man. A very talented guy, and he's been at lots of our events too and stuff. So I'm glad to have, because we kind of lost touch there for probably a year or two, and we kind of probably the last month or two we've had some really good positive conversations in it, and it's good to kind of have him back in the mix. I love Rad, so I'm happy to have 374 back.
You always need someone who's willing to challenge everything, right? Like for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that's something he's really good for. Like, okay, this is what it's up, or well, why? Like what's
it's
like,
good
why,
to question things.
So,
like like I question everything as good or bad. So it might not be the healthiest thing, but at the end of the day, it's someone gave me good advice. A lawyer gave me good advice one time, and he said, he saw a lot of bad things in life, and he said, you know what, everybody's an asshole until they prove me wrong. And and that's not, I look at life that way, but it's, when you're in business, you got to kind of protect some certain things, right? So exactly. I see what Rad's totally talking about in that regard, man. Advice for people, I guess, like kind of looking to get in shape and kind of looking for somebody like yourself to help them through what we're dealing with in COVID.
Honestly, like a lot of the things that I've been dealing with most of my clients for the past, well, let's say year and a half, really, is like more the mental health aspect. Like everyone's, like they're stuck inside or they're doing this or whatever, So like even through the lockdowns, I said to my clients, I'm like, okay, like don't worry about losing weight. Like put that on pause for a minute, right? Like if that was their goal, right? Worry about maintaining where you're at right now so that we're not bouncing back from something really difficult to get out of. Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, something's better than nothing, right? Yeah. Like, I know through the first part of the lockdown, they're like, oh, you can't go outside, you can't go to parks. It's like, well, okay, well, I can do an ab workout on my floor at home or something like that. Do you know what I mean? I can do like a body weight workout. The movement is medicine, right? And a lot of the time, most people day to day are at a desk job and they're sitting there hunched over on their computer, whatever. And they go home and they drive like this. Like, you're just consistently in bad positions with your body. So the more you can get moving and just like be up and doing something, right? Like your body's going to feel that. It's going to adjust from it. It's going to get healthier, So that's really it is, just keep going, keep doing something, keep working towards something. And especially if you can find something that you enjoy, right? Like for a lot of the time there in the first lockdown, before I really started investing in like my home gym, my weights, and which was really difficult to do, like not even just price, but getting a hold of weights.
Yeah.
Like it was difficult, man. Like I opened my gym in November and I was trying to order all my equipment for October, and that was a nightmare. They're like, oh, well, we don't know when we're going to have this stuff. I'm like, oh, man, like, you know what I mean? So, but before I did that, all I had was a heavy bag and some gloves. You do that, you do push-ups, like 5 minutes on the bag, hard as you can on the ground, doing some push-ups and sit-ups, doing something like that, right? Be creative.
Exactly like you said.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many trainers right now, whether it's me or somebody else. Like I'm looking at doing an online component at some point soon too, just for time's sake. But there's always something online. Like the industry has gotten so huge in the last 10 years that if you've got an internet connection, there's next to no excuse for you to not find something to do. Do you know what I mean?
And everybody
So
seems pretty helpful too. Like you reach out to somebody,
yeah,
man. Like people are pretty helpful and willing to be like, no, you got to do this, this, and this. And that's really good advice instead of, putting too much in your place. Just kind of focus on what you kind of in not getting worse. And then
that's it,
eventually,
right?
yeah, very good advice,
That's
man.
the thing. Like I think of personal training as, if there's probably a lot of combat athletes watching this and yeah, ex-athletes, whatever. You ever been to a physio, right? Physiotherapist, they
Yeah.
do their treatment, whatever. At the end of it, they give you a sheet. It's got about 500 different things on it.
Yeah.
And they're like, here, go do all of these in your own
Yeah.
time. And you look at that and you go, well, that's too many. I'm not going to do it, right? That
Yeah.
same sort of concept is applied when, like a trainer will give someone, okay, go do fix this, 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 and this all at once. Everyone will, whoa, that's too much. I can't do
Yeah.
that, right? Focus on one little thing at a time, right? And as
Yeah.
the improvement comes, take up more challenges, work at it like that.
First you
So
get good,
there's
then you
very
get
few
fast.
people that can, yeah, there's very few people that can fix 12 different things in one shot, right? It's
Yeah.
doable, but it's not common. So
Yeah. Well, it's even like martial arts. You see people come in all the time. They're like, oh, I want to be really good. And it's like, man, like, fuck. It takes a long time to get really
yeah,
good, right?
exactly.
Like,
Exactly, right?
so
And it's funny because a lot of my clients, they're ex-athletes and or business execs, like that kind of thing. And those sort of people are really perfectionist. And the one thing that they're not perfect at in their own head is fitness and working out and whatever. So it's
mhm.
funny watching, especially if I try to teach them Muay Thai, like, oh, I did that wrong, and they get really deep and dark about it. It's like, no, like relax, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's gonna take time to improve on this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here for a reason. I'm not here because you're
Exactly.
already where you need to be, right?
Yeah.
So
Put the time
yeah.
in and you're gonna get
That's
better,
it.
man.
That's it,
Exactly.
right? For
Yeah.
sure.
No, that's good. That's really good advice. And I couldn't agree more, man. And, find people like yourself who are willing to help others and people who are knowledgeable and can you get you to that next level, whether you're an
Yep.
athlete, whether you're a regular person or not, man. And I think I'm so happy that you are opening a facility. Where is the facility going to be? In Dartmouth?
So it's in Dartmouth. I'm on 100 Main Street now. So where Panda Buffet is at the top of Main Street, I'm in the unit just above it. It actually used to be a gym that's since gone under, and so I'm taking over some of that space there now. So should be good and
Nice.
set up. We've got a turf. We're gonna have like 3 or 4 hanging heavy bags. All my strength equipment that I've got here, it's all gonna be there. There's not a whole lot I can't do when it comes to training with the courses and the
Yeah.
education that I've taken and that sort of stuff too, right? And a lot of the like a lot of my clients don't ever have to go to physio. They go to a chiro every once in a while if they need to.
Mhm.
But like I do fascia stretch therapy, I can do cupping, I can do soft tissue blading, stuff like that. Like you need to be fixed, you can come see me. You need to get strong, you come see me. You want to do kickboxing, whatever it is, come see me. You know what I mean? So
All in one.
it's really nice to be able to do all of that stuff for somebody, right?
Yeah, it
So
is, man.
yeah,
It is.
yeah,
AussieFit.ca.
that's it.
All right, buddy. Perfect. Well, I
Beauty.
appreciate it. Any final shout outs you want to give before we get going?
I'm good. Yeah, I don't think I have a whole lot else to say. Other than I guess everybody who's sort of waiting on fights. Like I know my opponent Justin, he's probably going to watch this at some point. I'm hoping that at some point we get to get in the cage, get to make it happen. I've been waiting for a while to get this. He was actually on the card that
Yeah.
my opponent backed out on, so I got to see that, which was pretty cool. I'm looking forward to actually being able to just compete, man. Like I didn't play rugby last season. I've been focusing on this a lot more. I haven't actually competed in anything since before COVID.
Yeah.
So it's I'm just the athlete in me is like
Fancy.
ready to do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, hopefully June
should be good.
26th, man. We're looking to keep all these same fights. Everybody who's shown the
Sounds good.
dedication to kind of work with us. So that's the plan still, as long as everybody's still willing to do it. So, all
Wicked.
right, buddy. Well, there you go, folks. Alex
Sounds
Thompson
good.
reached out to him. AussieFit.ca, a great guy, a super talented trainer and a talented martial artist. So probably be on FLA too if all works out. Fingers crossed. And all right, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
There you have it. Thanks for joining us, folks. Another fantastic episode of FLA Exposure. I've been chatting with Alex for quite some time here. Again, he's been a great supporter of FLA and just kind of a pleasant guy to deal with. So make sure you get out there, check him out, AussieFit.ca. Check out his new gym. Check him out online. Any questions you do have, reach out to him. Again, 22 years old and super smart and willing to help. So get out there, be kind. Everybody out there working on the front lines, thanks. Keep doing what you're doing, keeping us all safe. Lots of love. We'll see you soon, folks. Be good.